Welcome everyone. I am One True Brick, coming at you with another LEGO Exo-Force review. Today, we're going to be looking at an overview of the entirety of the 2007 Golden City storyline, including every single set, of which there are 11 in total. They ranged from $8 to $90, and it definitely switched things up from the previous year. So let's just jump right into it. Also, make sure to stick around to the end of the video for my most recommended sets. So today we're going to be moving around a bit because there's a lot going on here. In the front lineup, we've got the first wave of sets, including the Iron Condor, the Shadow Crawler, the Claw Crusher, the Cyclone Defender, the Blade Titan, the Sky Guardian, and arguably the Golden Guardian, depending on where you place that. Some people would consider it to be part of the second wave. Some would consider it to be kind of a wave of its own. And then the second wave, once again with the kind of being wave of its own, Combat Crawler X2, along with the little rocket pod. The Aero Booster, the Sentai Golden Tower, Fight for the Golden Tower, whichever title you prefer. And lastly, the big guy, the Mobile Devastator. I know I said I wasn't going to say that anymore. In the last video. So, this particular year definitely changed things up. They ditched the light brick for a little bit of a better core to the sets. So instead of having that samey Technic build within the core, they decided to switch so that they could have a little bit of a different appearance. And for most of the sets, I would say they really benefit from this. Primarily the robot battle machines. The Iron Condor would definitely not be possible the way it is with a light brick core to it. And especially for these smaller first wave sets, they really did swap that functionality for something cool. The Sky Guardian has the ball launcher. The Blade Titan has this spinny weapon, as does the Cyclone Defender. Claw Crusher? Yeah, you don't really have anything going for you. You wouldn't have had a light brick anyways, though, because the tinier sets from last year didn't. The Shadow Crawler has the disc launcher. Even though it's not the best weapon, I do appreciate the fact that it did have something different. And on top of that, it does have a lot of cool posability and really nails the spider-like functionality, which I think this is probably the first time that LEGO really nailed that in a set. And finally, the Iron Condor has its missile launcher, which sadly became a little bit less neat when every single other set had one, pretty much. No, yeah, it was every single other one after that had one. I do like how the color schemes really changed. The previous year, the humans had really bright color schemes, including bright orange, bright red, bright yellow, and then the white. And instead, they pair white with another color being darker, so they have dark blue, dark red, dark green. Some of the other sets did mix that up a bit, but it still tends to be on the darker side of things. Meanwhile, the robot battle machines paired black with a bright color. So we've got bright orange, bright green, bright yellow, bright red, bright green again, and then bright yellow again. And I appreciate how they decided to mix things up rather than just going for the same aesthetic of the previous year. However, the human battle machines definitely had pretty weak or average builds, with the exception of the Aero Booster and the Cyclone Defender, which I really think the Cyclone Defender is a step up from the previous year. Whereas these guys, even the Golden Guardian and the Blazing Falcon, really didn't bring a whole lot new to the table other than the Blazing Falcon having its waist articulation. As cool as the aesthetic for some of these sets are, and you are absolutely welcome to like them, I never was the hugest fan of them because they're basically all the same, and last year they had basically all the same. And it doesn't help the fact that every single one of the robot battle machines really brings something new and different to the table. Every single one of them is completely different from the other. We've got one that's bipedal and got a bulky torso. We've got one that's bipedal but has wings and is rather spindly in the middle. We've got a spider. We've got a bigger spider that is completely different in the core build. We've got a tank, and then we've got like the flying vehicle. All four of these have pretty much the same exact core build. And aside from a few weapon changes and a few additional aesthetic changes, the core build is the same, and it really leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. I think they could have done something more interesting and unique. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Cyclone Defender and Aero Booster, though, definitely makes things different. I appreciate the differences between those two and the rest of them. I wish there was less white in the mid-size human battle machines. The Cyclone Defender doesn't have a ton of it, and I think the Aero Booster is kind of justified in the design to have a lot of white, but the rest of them really could have used some more primary color within it. So the Blade Titan could have had more dark red instead of so much white. The Sky Guardian could have more dark blue, etc. One major gripe that I have overall of this entire wave is that Hitami's only set inclusion is the Sentai Golden Tower. I think they could have included her in the Blazing Falcon. I think they could have made her have a mid-size set in place of either the Golden Guardian or the Combat Crawler. A special edition set including her would have been nice, and having her in the Blazing Falcon would have been nice, especially because I really felt like they tried to make her a main character, and I especially appreciate that they had a strong female character when, quite honestly, a lot of series at the time, like we're talking 2006, 2007, we hadn't really progressed to the point where having lots of female characters in Lego storylines was really a thing. It wasn't until later that we started getting more female minifigures. The Aero Booster is amazing. Enough said. Yep, that set's great. We don't need to say anything else. That's not true. The comics were kind of underwhelming in the second half. The first half, to the discovery of the Golden City, was very interesting, but after that, I don't remember the exact numbers, but if I remember correctly, 26 was the last episode of the first series, and it went up to 39. So the Golden City era got 12 comics, which was half the number the first year got. And granted, it did get a couple extra books, but for the most part, the storyline really felt rushed towards the end. Once they discovered these three battle machines, it was like one comic featuring each of the other sets. The Golden Guardian was like in one comic. The Air Booster was like in one comic. The Combat Crawler was like in one comic. The Sentai Golden Tower, like attack with the Sonic Raven, was like in one comic. The Mobile Devastator might have had one or two. It felt really rushed, and I wish we had gotten more content. However, the books really do make up for that in certain aspects. I really do appreciate how Ghost of the Past really fleshes out Hayato's character, because out of all of the characters, Hayato really didn't get focused on in the first year, and so he really felt like a core member of the team after reading that book. And then the next book, which the name still escapes me, that Hitami and Takeshi were featured in, really fleshed out Hitami's character, which was great. Those two characters in particular felt like the main characters of the Golden City storyline, which once again makes me wish they had given her another figure. But enough of that. I already complained enough about that. But you guys are all probably wondering what sets I recommend. So this one's a little bit different with the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the human battle machines. It's really tough for me to recommend any of them other than the Aero Booster. So if you are interested in just jumping in and buying a couple sets. If you're an entry-level Exo-Force person, you just want to get 1 or 2 sets to quench your mecha interest, I'm honestly going to say just get that arrow booster. And then, if you're kind of wanting a couple more just to have like a little bit of a scene, the Shadow Crawler and the Blade Titan. Even though the Blade Titan is my favorite, out of all of them, I really feel like it stands out the most from the crowd between all of the other ones, except for maybe the Cyclone Defender, which is kind of on the small side. And if you want a full roster of all the characters within the story, that would require you getting the Blade Titan and Shadow Crawler already, the Arrow Booster, and then in addition to that, get the Sky Guardian, the Iron Condor, attack on the Golden Tower, or fight for the Golden Tower so you can get Hitami, and then the Mobile Devastator, so that you can have Rio's character and Mecha 1, and then you've kind of got a full set of things. As much as I want to recommend the Cyclone Defender and Claw Crusher, you can absolutely go for them. I think they're cool little sets, but I think the Mobile Devastator is a better way to get Rio's character, and then the Claw Crusher is it's a decent little set, but once you have the Iron Condor and Shadow Crawler, there's really not a whole lot of reason to get it unless you really want to get everything you see here. So 2007, not quite as exciting as the first year, but nonetheless was still very interesting. I think my reasons for disliking certain sets and aspects of the year is different from others. I think a lot of people, I honestly think they probably felt the story wasn't as interesting, and part of me agrees with them, but also the sets really do have a factor into that. Maybe it was a little bit of oversaturation, maybe too much, because in the following year we only got a mere 7 sets, 8 if you're counting the special one that I'm going to look at. So I thank you guys all for joining me for this review. Keep on buying Exo-Force, keep on watching, and I will be back next week to take a look at the first set of the 2008 series, which is the River Dragon, Hayato's first forte into the small mainline wave of sets. Hayato is typically included in larger sets, either as a small battle machine in a playset, or something big like the Golden Guardian or the Arrow Booster. So it's nice to see him in a small set. I will see you guys next week for that review. Until then, bye! Sturdy, aside from the antenna, and I've talked at length about that in the 2006 era when just